Well, good morning, my Teaserking family. I hope everybody's okay today. Um, so I think what we'll do is we'll problem solve exactly what happened. I don't think anybody knows what really happened but us. I listened to Mr. Fuji and I listened to a few other phony economists, and I came to the realization that nobody knows what they're talking about. They think it was a correction. They think it was profit taking. They think um, it can't just go straight up. It's got to come down. Nobody knows what they're talking about. First of all, yes, it can go straight up, and that's what should be happening. Let's look at a football game. And I've seen this. The line goes from 7 to 11. Look at the Florida State Auburn championship game. Spread started at 7 and it went straight up to 11. Didn't come back down. It went straight up to 11. And yet Florida State won by 3 at the end. And I had the teaser where I was 7 down to 1. And I've shown you that ticket. And I can show it again if you need to see it. But what happens is as the momentum goes, there's no reason for it to stop. So let's problem solve. First of all, what is comex? It's an option exchange. It's not free market. It's controlled by the banks, the Feds, basically JP Morgan and Deutsche Bank. There's 8 banks, Deutsche Bank and Toronto Dominion and Wells Fargo, I think, or Bank of America. And these banks are basically controlling the price. It's not free market. And they're controlling it not with physical, they're controlling it with options and derivatives, paper. What's an option? Well, we're going to forecast the price in 2 months to be this. I mean, it's supposed to be a hedging technique. So if I bought silver at $100, I'm gonna put in a price of $90 if it goes down. And if it goes up, then I make money. And these people really have no idea what they're doing. Okay, they've turned it into a game where if they push it up, then they push it down, and they make money when it goes up, and they make money when it goes down. It's got nothing to do with the market. There's no market here. A market is, I want an avocado, and what are you selling it for? And if the price is right, I buy it. If the price is too high, I don't. And then the price dictates what it is. Just a sec. Just making my pita bread. So the price is a signal. It tells buyers and shoppers what they can buy it for, and the seller what he can sell it for. Nobody wants an avocado at $5. I can't sell it there. Nobody will buy it. Keep it about $1. People will buy it at that price and can sell it at that price. Hey, Derek, how are you today? Comex can try to lie, but it doesn't matter. Gold goes to 20K, 500 silver. Well, absolutely. And that's what we're getting to. But you're absolutely right. We'll jump ahead, but we'll go back. So the whole game here, as I like to call it, because we play football and poker and craps and everything. The whole game here is this is worthless. Now, how do we know this is worthless? Because if you print the way they've printed it, it has no value. You've overprinted it because you haven't backed it by gold. And you haven't backed it by gold because if you do, it limits how much you can print and how much these thieves and government and the banks can steal. So they're stealing money. They'll just print more. And they don't get, but if you do that, the value goes down. So since the value of the dollar's dropped because there's so many criminals in government and in the banking sector that they just steal the money. They can't steal the money in the gold if it's gold backed because it's a limited, right? You can only have so much gold, so much dollars because it's redeemable for gold, which keeps the supply down, which keeps the value. Hence the whole point. So if you print it and print it and print it, that's why I say they printed it to death. They printed too much and they've killed the value of the dollar. So then we're sitting there going, well, what do we do? Well, we got to buy a lifeboat. We got to buy something that will not lose its value. Well, if we just said if you print, it's worthless. So something that can't be printed, and that's where we get this. You can't go ahead and print a bunch of silver or gold. It has to come out of the ground, and it's all out of the ground. There's very little left. People seem to think, well, we have all these gold and silver mines around. No, it's gone. It's already been pulled up. Most of it went to China, some went to Russia, India. The BRICS countries are buying it hand over fist because they understand what it is. They understand it's limited, that you have to dig it out of the ground. And they understand if you have something that's limited, like gold or silver, it'll hold its value. So it's a very simple analysis. Either I hold something with no value or I hold something with value. Very simple. It's either A or it's B. And that's the point of it, right? So either I stay in this and watch it go to zero, or I get out of that and I go into this and watch it go up to its normal price, which we haven't seen yet. And since the banks have been fixing comex and pushing the price down, they've actually caused a bad situation in that there's no supply of silver because nobody wants to make a silver mine because it's not affordable. It's going to cost you $50 an ounce, but I could only sell it for $25 an ounce. So why would I open up a silver mine? Makes no sense. So that's kept the supply very, very low, but the price was low. So it kept people from buying it and staying into the stock market because that's how warped these Wall Street guys are. Well, we'll keep them in. No, put it in you get a job. What do they do? Well, we'll do a 401k match. And you can get it, and then we're going to match 3%, and that's the Ponzi scheme. That's the Madoff. And so you go, oh, great, I make 3% on nothing. Well, you don't make 3% because it's in money, which is worthless. Let me get my Pete. I'll be right back. All right. I don't mean to make it suspenseful or add a commercial or anything. So this is the problem. So you've kept supply very low. Well, you'd be fine if you didn't inflate the dollar to zero. So then there'd be no need for silver, which is why silver hasn't moved. They've kept the price down, so people aren't interested. They go, oh, I'll go into my 401k at work, and that'll be my retirement, and off I go. Only you're being lied to. Only nobody will tell you you're being lied to. I will tell you you're being lied to. So Derek's absolutely correct, although he's conservative. Gold will go past 20 grand, and silver will go to at least 1,000. Now the banks can try their crap. So, let's not jump too far ahead. So the banks who are doing this Ponzi scheme, the 8 billion banks who are buying the options and the derivatives and they're selling and shorting and buying, and they don't know what the hell they're doing. And maybe there's some sovereign funds or pension funds also doing this for some reason. I hear some of these pension funds can't buy physical gold, which make no sense. If I was running it, we'd be buying physical gold. And so they buy ETFs or something. ETFs, stay away from. They're a Ponzi scheme. There is no physical silver or gold in them. They say they're tracking the physical market, but you don't get the coin. You don't want ETFs because it's in money, but you don't want to be in money because the money's not worth anything. You want to be in the only thing that is worth something that can't be printed, which is gold and silver. So an ETF, you'll not if they're telling you that you're going to get gold and silver out of it, they're lying to you. They don't have very much gold or silver, so it's bullshit. Now, are they supposed to cover it? Yeah, but they sell this Stroud or whatever his name is, Rick Rude and Stroud. There's just a bunch of criminals. They should be in jail. What Madoff did, at least he paid people. What these guys are doing is selling it as, oh, you're buying gold and silver, which you're not. ETFs are terrible scams. They charge you a fortune in management fees, and it's not worth it. It's bullshit. Hey, Kurt, how are you today? I didn't get an email from you. Yeah, I'm from Michigan. Yeah, and you're from India. I remember. So we know the banks are really stupid people. So they're trying to control the price with options. And the game is keep you in this and keep you out of that. This is the game. No. Keep everybody there and keep everybody away from that. So we'll keep the price down. And if we keep the price down, nobody will be interested. There's no demand if there's no price. So we'll keep the price down artificially, but not in the real world. And then everybody will keep their money in their 401ks and in the stock market, and we'll make a bunch of money on Wall Street, and Wall Street's a bunch of banks. Don't kid yourself. They're a bunch of banks. That's all they are. And they don't care about you. They just care about them. They just care about making money and basically screwing the people. But nobody is intelligent enough to really understand they're being screwed or what to do. What do people see? Oh, I can make 10% in Madoff or 15. I don't care how, but look, I can make more money in Madoff than I can at the bank, which makes no sense, but okay. But that's how people are wired. I don't know, but I'm going to listen to somebody and I don't know who it is, and I'll trust them because I'm an idiot and I don't know any better. Will gold and silver go up? Yes, of course. Tomorrow night they will. Yeah, sure they will. Let me get to the point, right? So the game is to keep you in Wall Street or a real estate trust they invent from Wall Street or bonds, which are worthless. Anybody that tells you to go into bonds has their head so far up their ass, they have no idea what they're talking about. The problem with bonds is the dollar isn't worth anything. See, it's fundamental that everybody gets wrong is they don't realize the dollar's worthless. The dollar has no value. Oh, sure, you can go to Kroger's and buy milk and cheese, and they're going to take it because they have to, because the government forces Kroger to take the dollar. Now, if I was Kroger at the end of the week, I would take all the money I made and I'd go buy gold and silver with it. I know people that do that. I know there's a parts store when I go to Toyota, and the guy tells me, my buddy who sells auto parts, every Friday he goes and he takes his profit and buys gold and silver every Friday. He gets a little less now, but he's smart enough to do that. And so you have this problem. Will silver and gold will hike in next week? Will they go back to? Yeah, they're going to go much higher than that. Listen to the class. So you should ask yourself this, colleague: did the dollar get stronger? No. Is there less inflation than there was? No. Did the dollar gain in value? No. Did gold and silver, did they find a huge supply? No. So nothing's changed, right? That's the game. We're out of the dollars because they're worthless, and we're in the gold and silver because it's very limited and it's going to go up. That's the game, period. So understanding that is the key. Basically, that's the point. Nothing has changed from yesterday. What they did is, again, the game is the banks control the price by the options. That's not a market. It's not a free market. Nobody sold an ounce of gold or silver yesterday, and yet silver went down $35, $40. I mean, if you look at this chart, let's look at the silver chart. I mean, it's at 110, or 113 at 2 in the morning, and it slides down, and then it goes back up to 103, and then at about 10 o'clock, it does the 10 o'clock drop. So this is all done by the U.S., JP Morgan, and you can see at 10 o'clock, it's 100, 102, and then it goes down to 75. Okay, that's all options. Nobody sold an ounce of silver at that time to lower the price, because even if you bought or sold silver, it doesn't move the price. Only the option move it. So the options come in, and you got these algorithms or whatever that follows, they're selling, and so the algorithm pushes the price down. It's not even people, and it's not even free market. Is nobody's selling. This is all bullshit. This is totally illegal. But since the banks, JP Morgan, run the government, they're not gonna shoot themselves. So this is totally illegal what happened. And totally not real what happened. So not only is it illegal, it's not real. Now gold was 5,300, and then it goes down to 4,700. Oh, at the same 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock thing, and then it bounces back it got back to 4,900. Now people will sit there and they'll try to explain, well, that's where it was, so it's okay. And yeah, it's a correction because it went up so much. People that say this are idiots. I'll show you one guy to avoid. This one guy said it, and I would avoid this guy at all costs.
Eternal silence.
This guy here. So this guy's name is, I don't know, the Freedom Report. He thinks it's a correction. He thinks it went up too fast. This guy, I wouldn't waste 2 seconds on this guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay, so if you see this guy, I don't know, Rob Krentz or something like that, absolutely ignore. Absolutely doesn't know what he's talking about. So again, the game, we're going to price gold and silver, not with the market, not with buying and selling, supply and demand. We're using options by the banks. So now we got to figure out the bank's motivation here. The banks couldn't control it going up because China controls it, Shanghai. Now it got a little too high for the banks. The banks were able to, you can see China had it at 115 or 113. So China wasn't the issue here. This was not even really Europe. The issue was the US. The US, how does the bank work? They short. And so they short these options. They go on their financial statements. but they don't have to recognize the option that they're losing money on it, that they shorted it at 105 and now it's at, well, they shorted it at, let's say 90, and now it's at 105. So you can see where they shorted most of it was 75. So as soon as it went down to 75, it went back up to 85. Now, why yesterday? Because on the financial statements of the banks, they mark to market it the last day of the month, which is January 30th yesterday, last working day, the end of February, they do it every month. And they can't get rid of these short options because the price went up instead of down. They think they're still playing the game where New York buys and London sells and vice versa, and they make the commission on it, I guess, and they make some money on it. So part of me says, well, they made money. All the banks are broke. The banks are broke because they loaned out the money and people can't pay them because our economy is terrible and there's a recession, plus the money's worthless. So the banks are all losing money. Not only shorting it, they can't get down to it. So if they shorted 100, that means they got to buy it, right? But they're expecting it to go to 110, right? They're shorting it. They want the price to go down. So they short, let's say at 80, right? And then they want the price to go down to 70, and then they're going to sell it. But the price went up to 120. So they can't sell it. So that was part of this yesterday, was to get out. But why yesterday? Because that's the mark to market day. That's the end of the month. That's when they ante up on their financials. So it's taking the real value, which this is bullshit. The whole thing's bullshit. You can't have real value in an option market. If you get away from the market, buy and sell, supply and demand, then you don't have a real market. So they all, let's say, shorted, let's say at 85. And it's 110. They can't put it on their books because they'll lose $15 per contract, and there's 5,000 contracts or whatever there is, and they're all going to lose their ass, and all the banks are going to go broke. So the banks panicked, and they were frustrated, and they're trying to get out of their. Why they're shorting is because they think they're still playing the game of, well, we're gonna short and London's gonna buy and vice versa, and we'll make our money that way because it's a fixed game. However, what happened to ruin the game for them is BRICS came in and said, oh, we'll buy it all cheap, and they keep buying and asking for delivery. And the Ponzi scheme ends once the physical enters. So when it's buy, I'm gonna short gold, and London's gonna buy the gold, and then that's how we get out of the option. So we make money on the option by doing that, but there's no physical involved. It's all just paper and paper. BRICS comes in, China, Russia, India, Saudi Arabia, Dubai. They come in, and Brazil and South Africa, and they come in and say, no, we're going to buy the gold. We want gold. And at first it was 5 BRICS countries, BRICS, but then we're now at 20, and we're going to be at 80 soon. Well, guess what? You want to play in BRICS, you got to have gold-backed currency, because we're trading in gold. We're not trading in fiat currencies that are worthless. So the demand for gold and now silver has gone to the moon, which the price would follow. Now on COMEX, they're not normally asking for delivery, are now starting to ask for delivery. So they're saying, yeah, no, we don't, we're going to buy that short that you did, but only we want delivery. And they have to pay it. Well, there's not enough gold and silver to deliver. China's got 80,000 tons. All right, there's 200,000 tons out there. Russia and India and Saudi Arabia, the rest of the BRICS probably have 75% of the physical gold in the world, which leaves 25%, which Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, those central banks have. I'm sure me and you are buying some. And then you have, probably Germany buying, and Italy's buying, I guess. I assume France. France used to steal from Africa. Africa's also buying because Africa's going to have a gold-backed currency. Also, the whole country of Africa, all the countries, the whole continent it's going to have. There's 50 countries inside, Chad and Fiasco and, Egypt and all, they're all going on the gold standard. So they need a lot of gold. So the demand for gold and silver has gone through the roof, which has pushed the price up on COMEX, but the banks don't realize this because apparently they're the dumbest people in the world. So they don't realize what BRICS is. They don't realize BRICS is buying physical. So they're still playing their game. But now I'm Russia and I go, yeah, you know what? You shorted it. I'm going to buy it. Only I want to get paid in physical gold, not paper. Aha. What does COMEX do? They don't have the physical. They had a little physical, but not for, and then the reason they go to COMEX because it's cheaper at COMEX than it is anywhere else. As you see, China is selling for $123 an ounce for silver. In the US, it's 86. Excuse me? What the fuck's going on here? So what normally would happen is the banks would take their silver and gold. They'd take the silver and go to China and sell it for 123. So they'd make $40, a no-brainer. Yeah, but there's no physical to sell. So what happened yesterday was the banks trying to get out of their shorts, having to put the discovery on their financial statements because it's the end of the month, would have lost billions of dollars. So they panicked, and instead of losing billions, they somehow, I don't know where they got this money from because there isn't any. So obviously they're printing money, which is worthless, which makes it even more worthless, right? So they're taking worthless dollars and they're doing shorts on COMEX to lower their price. And there's no buyers. Obviously, they turned off the buy and it was only sell only, and you could see it just dumped. Now, there's a lot of buyers who will come back, as you're asking, Monday, and they'll start buying the shit out of it. I think you'll see China. China comes on board 5:30 Sunday night because that's like 5:30 in the morning, or like 6 o'clock or 6:30, something like that, is when China comes to the plate. And they're going to buy the shit out of it at these prices. See, before it worked, everybody, they try to compare it to the Hunt brothers. It's nothing to do with the Hunt brothers. It's not even close. It's not a comparison. It's like comparing the New England with Brady and New England without Brady. Yeah, you're probably not going to get a good comparison. So what you have here are the banks crying and pissing in their pants because they've been caught. And if they didn't do the dump, they had all been broke. Aha, we got the motivation. What happened? It is not profit taking. It is not, well, it resets, it went up so high, it has to come down. That's fairy tales. And that's all that is. That's Pinocchio's nose growing. No, that's bullshit. That should never have happened yesterday. It happened because the banks needed to get out from underwater and needed to short to get the price down. And they go and it's $75, and they put it on their books. Because at 100, they'd have had to sell all theirs and they all would have been broke. So to stay in business, and I'll show you the attack on Wall Street. So on Attack on Wall Street, the Home Alone guy goes and says, fuck everybody. All that matters is the bank survives, is our firm survives. That's what happened yesterday. All that mattered was these banks surviving. So they all got together and shorted. And now guess what happens? On Monday, they all buy because it's so cheap. And hopefully they've rinsed out all the shorts. And why they keep shorting, see, they see it go up, and they think, oh, it went up so much, it's going to go down. But that's not real. Everything's changed. This is worthless. This is the thing to buy because you can't print it or inflate it. So this has to go up in value and it has to be worth more, especially as the dollar's gone down in value, would trigger this to go up in value because the demand would shift into gold and silver. And gold and silver really has nothing to do with the value of the dollar. Somebody said, well, the dollar strengthened, so that made the algorithm short gold. Okay, it has nothing to do with it. The value of the dollar has nothing to do with the price of gold and silver. All right. It's got nothing to do with it. Gold and silver is like buying a mantle card. So you buy a mantle card. Does it got anything to do with the price of the dollar? Absolutely not. But you'll pay a lot of money for it because it's the demand of mantle and it's limited because to find a good mantle card in the 50s, you're not going to find it. They can't, there may be 10 of them. How many PSA 10s, 1952 Topps mantle rookies do you think there are? If there are any. One, two. That's what makes the value is they're extremely limited, but the demand's there. Did the demand go away for gold and silver yesterday? No. Why did the price go down? Because the banks had to get out of their options. The question asked, why are the banks still shorting gold and silver? These are Keynesians, which means they're idiots and they don't know what they're doing. And therefore, if you don't know what you're doing, they keep making the same. They see it jump and they go, "Oh, well, I'm going to short it because they think it's a stock." They don't get why gold and silver are going up because this is worthless. That's why it's going up. That's why China has it. That's why BRICS has it. They're going to trade in gold because they don't want dollars because they know every country since the Roman Empire, anybody who gets out of gold, their currency collapses to zero every time since Rome. But the banks, they're too stupid, or they think they're going to make money, and then they end up having to do this bullshit. Now, this is the illegal part, letting them control the price. Price fixing is illegal. Why are they letting them get away with it? Oh, because the banks run the government. I forgot. And that's why this is allowed, is because, if somebody, if person X does it, he's not going to put himself in jail if he's also the jailer. So what happened was the banks trying to submit. So therefore, it was not profit taking, which nobody profit takes physical gold. That's only an idiot would do that because you get back into dollars. You can sell an ounce or two to go on a trip, pay some bills, but you're not. Oh, I got 100 ounces of gold. Let me sell all 100 because I made $5. That makes no sense. So you have that. Now, okay, that's what did it. It was the end of the month, and they were going to have to report all these losses. So it chunked the price down, and the price had risen so much so quick that they're like, oh shit, if we don't do this, we're all going to, and since it's all the banks, they couldn't let it happen. So they just printed money out of thin air. That's bullshit. That's why we need the gold standard. And then they pushed the price down. It was probably all sell, and because I never saw it bounce until about what time did it start bouncing back? So you can see it about 2 o'clock. 14 is about 2 o'clock. So at 10 o'clock, it's 5,100, and at 2 o'clock, it's 4,700. Then finally, they let the buying happen, and the buying starts happening, and it gets back to roughly, it got to 4,900. I don't know who shorted it at 4 o'clock, bunch of idiots. Same thing with silver. It went down to 75, and then I'm sure the same time about 2 o'clock, they let the buying, and people are buying it and buying it. So now we understand what happened. We problem solved it. We problem solved the why. It had nothing to do. Nobody was taking profit, because if you take profit, you got to get back into this crap. This is worthless. Why would anybody sell this to get back into this? Even if I bought it for $30 and now it's at 100, I'm going to sell it to get back into this, which is worthless. So all my money I gained in this, I just lost by going back into dollars. Nobody is stupid enough to do it. You're not profit taking. Like I said, you might sell an ounce or two. Now, again, I'm talking the physical world. I'm not talking the paper world. I never talk the paper world. The only reason I talk the paper world is because it's a Madoff. Anything that doesn't use supply and demand and you're not using physical is a Ponzi scheme. which it is. So basically, they've been playing with the price, but now BRICS came in. Now BRICS is our hero because they're buying all the physical and it's blowing up comex. So comex is basically dead. Why the banks are still shorting is beyond me, but that was it. So now you see 75, it went back to 85. So what's going to happen Sunday night? China's going to buy the shit out of it because they'll be able to buy it, and they'll, this end of the month crap, and you'll see it back at $100, by midnight. You'll see a huge spike up in silver and gold. The Europe, they didn't really sell any. And then the US probably buys it because it's cheap, right? You can see they started buying it. And the US needs gold and silver. So it was saving the banks because the banks would have all been bankrupt because they're idiots and they shorted and they had to cover and mark to market this. Yeah, I bought it at 75 and it's at 100 now. So I lost $25 a contract, which would have bankrupt all the bullion banks. And so they had to do it. Nobody sold an ounce of gold or silver. At least nobody in our group should have. And I don't buy anybody else selling it. I'm sure BRICS was buying it. It was a huge buying opportunity. But it's when it goes down, it's not selling. You're not dealing with physical. You're still in a paper market pricing. It's still fixed. So if you understand that, when it does go down, it's because the bank, and notice it was the last day of the month when they're marking the market. And it happens a lot. The last day of the month, it tends to go down. Nothing this radical, but we had such a move in January. I remember Christmas, silver was $71. And then once everybody came back, it went up to 90 to 100 to 120 because it was cheap and the demand's huge. The fundamental economic thing here is in any market, if there's huge demand and there's low supply, price goes up because there's more people who want it than there are. So they'll start, well, I need it, so I'm going to pay more for it. So in silver, you need it, right? And that's the point. So it only goes down if demand stops. And demand hasn't stopped and won't stop. BRICS, there's more countries joining, need gold and silver, and it's very limited. It will only go up for a long time. If it was in the free market, it would just zoom. It would never have these shorts. But again, it's caused by the bank needing to stay alive and for their financial statements, not anything to do with people demanding or supplying it. And there's no correction. A correction's a stock, right? The stock goes up really, like Microsoft goes up from 100 to 200, but the market value of Microsoft is 125. It's gone over the value, so it comes down. But that's not what's happening here. The value of gold's here, and the comex is here, and the same with silver. So even as you're coming up, you're still not at real market value. So it's all bullshit that there's corrections. There's bullshit is profit taking. People who are getting into gold are not profit taking it now. They know it's going to $25,000, $30,000. That's what the market tells you. You have BRICS. You've added this huge demand, and it's a low supply item. Why would it stop? People are still buying it. Africa's now buying it for their gold-backed currency. Countries joining BRICS are buying it because you have to have gold because nobody trusts China or Russia, and who can blame them? That's what you have. All right, let's see. So Kurt seems a little misunderstood right now. Will silver and gold hike in next week? Well, that's not the question. First of all, we know it'll go back. We don't know when. I assume Monday is going to go through the roof and go right back to where it was. but we'll see. Maybe it'll take till Friday, but it will go back. Will they go back? Yes, they will go back to 120, 50, 400. They'll go way past that. It'll go to 1,000 and 10,000 at least on its way up. Pro your email, right? Did you see how they had no stop limits at the market as the market was tanking? No circuit breakers with 30% drop. Again, it was fixed. The banks had to do it to stay in business. So they're going to do whatever they have to do. So we understand it's a manipulated market. We know exactly what's going on. It's manipulated. We get it. It's whatever's good for the bank. They don't care about the customer. So we get that. We understand that. Tansi, good morning. What's yesterday's games, TK? Gold, silver and gold will always go up. TK, you ever buy any silver or gold online? Okay. Well, the games was the bullshit with, the comex game, I like to call it. Those are the games. And if you think football is fixed, comex is more fixed. But the key to us is BRICS coming in has killed comex. So we're rooting for Russia and China. Now, that's what's making the prices go up, and it's not going to stop. You ever buy any silver or gold online? No. I go to my store. There's a store really close to me, and I always have bought from him. He always had inventory. When I went to Bama, I did buy from him. I'd call him up, say, give me 3 ounces and 20 ounces of silver, and I'd use my credit card, and then he would FedEx them to me, and I'd get them the second day, and I'd have to go to the FedEx store, which is perfectly fine. They actually had one of those in Bama. They didn't have any restaurants, but they actually had that. I never seen a city that had no restaurants. I mean, they had like a Chinese buffet. They had a Taco Bell type of restaurant. The barbecue restaurants, they didn't even have silverware. It was the stupidest city I've ever seen. It was a horrible city. So it was really, really stupid. They would charge you, you'd go to Kroger's, and it would be 9% each item. So it's a $50 grocery shop and add 9%, which is another $4.50. So it was $54.50 for in Michigan. I wouldn't pay tax on most of the stuff. But no, I don't buy online. Again, if I can go to the store, A, I don't have to stress looking at my mailbox every day, and B, I don't have to pay for shipping. I drive over on the way to go to the gym. I go in, I get 10 ounces of silver, I get 2 ounces of gold, I get quarter ounces, whatever. And and then I got it in my hand. There's no shipping. I've got it. I've got a good price. That's it. So never do it. But if you can find a store in your city, I would recommend. Now, you will pay a premium, but you have to trust them. Is it real gold and silver? And his was. And when people would come in to buy, to sell it to him, he would be very thorough checking it out because he didn't want to buy counterfeit gold or silver either. So you knew what he had was real. And I bought mostly like this. I bought this there, a maple leaf. Okay, I'm not really too worried about maple leaves. Or I'd buy the Eagles or the Buffalo silver or the Eagle or the Cougaran or the Maple Leaf Gold, some Philharmonics because we like the instruments on the back. But that's what I would buy. He had the sovereign from James Bond from Russia with Love when he pulls out 25 gold sovereigns. Those are real, but they don't say gold on them, and you don't know how the value. They're like a third of an ounce. They're a little bit more than a quarter ounce, but it doesn't say it anywhere on there. Now, if you're going to take it back to him and sell it, you're fine. But to a normal person, they might not know, well, this isn't gold, or I don't know what the weight is. it just made it harder to sell. Now it'd be cool because it's a James Bond piece, but it's really about a third of an ounce. So I stayed away from that kind of stuff, and you stay away from collectibles, a 1921, whatever. You don't want to buy that. You were just trying to buy gold and silver. That's it. So we see what the banks did. We know BRICS is on our side, so they're going to help us. The problem, why did it go down? The solution, because the banks are going to go out of business. They couldn't cover all their shorts. It was mark-to-market day, so they had to show a cheaper price on their books. Because if you shorted at 85 and you show 115 on your books, I'm losing $20 an option, you're fucked. That's why it happened. And because it went so high in January, I mean, remember Christmas, silver was $70. So silver went up $40, meaning it had to come back down roughly 30 of them. Why? Because the banks are idiots. Why are they shorting? The most highly demanded thing in the world right now is silver and gold, and you're shorting. Do anybody know what the hell they're doing at the banks that they are shorting? Or is this AI doing its thing? Or algorithm saying, buy, oh, look, it's dropped below its 50-day moving average or above it. Oh, it's above the 50-day moving average, and you got to sell it. Is that what's happening? Are these idiots? And this is why you want to trust AI or analytics or algorithms. You got to be out of your fucking mind. You got to be able to use logic going, oh, wait, it's highly demanded. All the companies need silver, and it's in a lot of industries, right? Solar panels and phones and computers need silver in the military. And they're trying to keep the price down, but they can't because BRICS came in and buying in physical. So COMEX is basically done. This was last grasp. This should have cleaned out all the 75 and 80 and 85 options. I would hope so. And that's it. And you see it going back. So it hit 75. Was like, okay, we got to get rid of that one. And now, and then it jumped back to 86. So, and the same thing with gold. It got down to 4,700 something, and then it jumped back, and now it's 48. It should be 5,000. Again, we really don't know the real price of gold or silver. We only know this paper option price. So we understand the game we're playing. We also understand BRICS is our friend, and BRICS keeps buying the shit out of it because they don't like the U.S. dollar, and the U.S. dollar is printed to death, is worthless. So the quicker you understand the U.S. dollar is worthless, yes, I know I can go to Kroger's and buy. Doesn't mean it's worth anything because everything I buy at Kroger's is 5 times more expensive than it was a year ago because the dollar's got no value. So this is premeditated, totally illegal, price fixing. But here come BRICS, and we're going to see China Sunday night, and we'll be happy on Monday morning when silver's back in the 90s and gold's back over the 5,000s. And then we'll watch it run in February because now the prices are really cheap. So if I bought it at 100 and I moved it up to 110, I can do it again. And now I'm a bank in China and Russia and India, and I go, oh, fuck, I can buy more. I didn't think I'd ever buy more at $80, $90 an ounce. I can buy more. And they're going to buy the shit out of it. And that's what will happen. So, yeah, you're right, Derek. No circuit breakers with 30% drop because they needed it. So you understand it's corrupt. You understand it's phony. But we're kind of understanding also it's broken. And they can't hold the price anymore. And they tried, but it's going to come right back because of the demand. The price will shoot back up. So the question you're asking me, Cart, will they go back? The answer is there still demand? Is there still demand in India for gold and silver? Is there still demand in China for gold and silver? And the answer is yes. Pat from Singapore comes on. He's in our class, and he says, There's lines out the door. It's a 5-hour wait to go to the gold store and buy gold, jewelry, coins, bars, whatever. It's a 5-hour wait. That's demand. People are waiting for gold and silver because they know they got to get out of their dollar, because they know the yen's worthless, as is the yuan, as is everything. As far as the bond markets, I mean, you don't have to even go to the bond markets. What's the point of talking about them? It's the dollars that are worthless. The yen is worthless. The yuan is worthless. The ruble is worthless. All the African money is worthless. The euro is worthless. The Canadian is worthless. And the USD is worthless. There isn't a currency that's paper that isn't backed by gold that has a value. Zimbabwe is probably the leader because they went to a gold-backed currency. And I haven't checked what theirs is doing lately. So it's called the ZiG. If you want, look at the value of the ZiG. It's probably huge. They're the only ones smart enough to go to a gold-backed currency because it keeps it limited. That's why you can't have big government. What does big government do? How do you pay the people? I have a friend at the DOD, and he calls me and he says, "Oh, the government's on strike again," or "Yeah, they didn't sign, so the government is off again." So if you're going to travel, be careful, because the air traffic controllers, for some reason, are government employees and not employees of the airlines, which makes no sense. Now, I assume they'll pay the air traffic controllers because you're not going to shut down the airplanes in the airports. That's a death wish. So you can't shut them down. Sorry, you can't travel. They might have less flights, but they're not going to shut them down. So I said, no, I'm not traveling. I'll meet Daria probably near the, May, June, July timeframe. So anyway, he works for the DOD. And so the point of it, there's too many government employees because government doesn't make a product. They don't make Canadian Club. Oh, I'll sell the Canadian Club and I can pay my employees with it. But the government doesn't make anything, so they never get any revenue. I don't consider taxes a revenue. Taxes is not revenue. So the government makes nothing. The government has no income. The government has no revenue. How do you pay your employee? Well, if we're working at our ice cream shop and we've got 10 employees and all of a sudden nobody's coming in to buy ice cream, guess what? We might have 1 or 2 employees. Hopefully we start selling again. But if we don't have any revenue, I can't pay my employees. Well, the government has millions of employees with no revenue. How do they pay their employees? Well, they print money, which makes the money worthless, which is the whole problem that we're in the first place. Is gold would limit your dollars, where if you're not on anything, you print and print and print. Only it's worthless when you do that. So you've killed the value of the dollar. And you have all these government employees, which you can't pay. So you're basically paying them with bullshit money. They don't know. They don't care. They can pay their mortgage. They can pay their bills. They can go to the ice cream and get ice cream. All the businesses still take it, but what they don't realize, it's worthless. And what the propaganda, it's like the Nazis here with the propaganda that the U.S. uses. Oh, inflation's fine. Oh, it's only 2%, which is just fantasy. You can't measure it. The dollar's worthless, so the inflation's thousands of percent. It's not 2. But the way they measure it, well, we do it year over year. Well, no, you don't. If you printed it, it's printing. It's not cost. It's not prices going up. It's you printed the dollar. There's too many dollars. It's worthless. And that's inflation. So they try to sell you this. Well, look, you can still go to Kroger's, even though the milk was $2 and now $5. It's they're raising prices. The manufacturers are just greedy. I love the word greedy. Greedy is actually a very good thing. Take the Kansas City Chiefs. They won a Super Bowl. Oh, they want to win a second. Oh, they're greedy. Oh, they won 2 in a row. They want to win 3 in a row. That's greedy. Well, that's good. They're trying to win again. Trying to win is good, not bad. So yeah, they might be greedy, but that's a good thing. We like betting on them. That's all that matters. Um, so the companies aren't greedy by raising their prices. They have to cover their costs and make profit. Otherwise, they can't be in business. That's what they're doing. So you have this government with all these government employees that they can't afford to pay. And then they do try to do these treasuries, which they'll never pay these countries back. I mean, it's mostly countries who own the treasuries. It's mostly China because China would sell us all their goods and we'd give them treasuries back. We'd say, well, we can give you the money or we'll give you treasuries. So they took treasuries. But now, as Putin said, your dollar's like a Snickers wrapper. That's the value of your dollar, a Snickers wrapper. I remember him saying that and I laughed, and he's absolutely right. So China understands this, Japan, Russia. So they're all, we want our dollar. We're selling the bonds back to you. We want the dollars. So even more inflation, right? There's no more petrodollar, more inflation. There's no more FX for most of the world now, where if you're Swiss and you have Swiss banks and you wanted to buy British pounds, you had to get dollars and use the dollars. So you needed the dollar to buy the currencies. What kind of idiot idea is that? Why would anybody go with it? Now you don't. Now China's buying oil from Saudi Arabia and Brazil with the yuan, which is gold backed. And so now they get gold for their oil. So Saudi's happy. There's no US dollar involved there. So the US dollar is just crushed, right? It has no value. Now you can either realize what's really happening, or you can listen to the Joseph Goebbels media and go, "Oh, yeah, okay, Joseph, yeah, we're winning the war. Yeah, oh yeah, Hitler's great. Yeah, well, okay, we got it." And that's basically what's happening. I mean, Trump, oh, this is the greatest economy in the history of the world. Yeah, drugs. I think he is. No, it's not. It's terrible. We're in a recession. People are laying off people. Um, Very hard to get a normal job, like for me to get a finance job. But fortunately, with gold and silver going up, I'm virtually ready to retire until yesterday, which I'm sure I'll retire this month. Um, so, according to Johnsey, silver and gold will always go up. Is that true? Absolutely. It's true as long as the demand's there. And we're being forced into demand because the dollar's worthless, as is the euro. So since these are both worthless, right? These are both worth nothing. So since these are both worth nothing, your only out is gold and silver. It's not a Chinese or Russian dollar because it's not backed by gold. So the only thing value is gold and silver because it's limited. You can't print it and counterfeit it or inflate it. It's not debasement. You debase the gold out of the. If you take the gold out of the eagle, then you're debasing. You are not debasing the dollar. I hate this. This is such a pet peeve of mine. You inflate this. You can't debase it. There's no gold and silver in here, right? Capiche? There's no gold or silver to take out of it to debase it. This is only inflated. You're printing it. That's why it loses value. There's too much out there. And these guys that look at charts are just fucking idiots. There's no point in looking at charts. I don't like when Mark McGuire does it, but he's kind of more or less showing what's happening. But you can't use a chart to do any type of analysis because bricks, unless you're looking at the last year or two. But now it's Basel III, and now silver everybody needs. And so the charts are useless unless you have all the variables included, which you don't have. So has anything changed? Has demand dropped for gold and silver? No. Has there been increased supply? No. Then what's changed? Nothing. Just the banks trying to stay in business by shorting it to put the paper price down. In the physical world we live, nothing's changed. The price will go back up, and this time it'll stay up because you've had your shot. You had your chance. Now, every time silver moves $50, we're going to have this little drop because they keep shorting it like idiots. Well, then they need to close these banks down. Anyway, that's problem solved. Because it was January 30th and it's a mark-to-market day, that's why this happened. It got to the point where, okay, we're getting out, and then you see it go back up. So you see, when you see this 2 o'clock drop, and then all of a sudden, at about 2 o'clock, 14's 2 o'clock, it goes back up. That was the mark they needed. They needed 4,700 gold, and they needed and then they needed 75 silver. Those are the key numbers. And as soon as it hit it, the silver went all the way back almost to 87. So that's where their options were in. Very obvious what they did. But why do we have to keep paying for the bank's stupidity? And that's the problem. Toronto Dominion, what are they, a bunch of idiots? The Canadians are just so stupid. They want to short the thing that's the most demanded in the world. Let's short it. The price will go down, I'm sure. Oh, my God. Do you not understand what BRICS is? Maybe the banks don't understand that BRICS is buying the shit out of it. And China owns 80,000 tons of gold. Do they not understand this? And Russia and India, they own 20,000 tons of gold and probably the same in silver, if not more, because it's cheaper. Do they not get this? Why are you shorting? Hello, McFly. Is anybody home that you're shorting? You're shorting gold and silver at this point. Only if you just don't know what BRICS is. I don't know. Trump doesn't know what they are. The U.S. doesn't know what they are. So I don't know. Are you trying to crash the dollar? Well, I don't know. You could have taken the banks out. So I don't know what's going on. John C. TK, should cheaters and gamblers and steroids be left out of Hall of Fame? I like under and Seahawks in the teaser. Yeah, that's my free play. Should cheaters and gamblers with steroids be left out of the Hall of Fame? I don't. What are they cheating? If you're talking Belichick, yeah. If you're talking Fred Biletnikoff, because he put the stickum all the way on his arm, no. The players who cheat, no. The gamblers, yes. If you're gambling on football and you're ruining the game because you're not trying, you shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Steroids, no. Steroids, you should be in the Hall of Fame. Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame. McGuire, Roger Clemens, all those guys. The steroids doesn't really help you. It never helped Mark McGuire hit a home run. It doesn't help hand-eye coordination. So that's how I view steroids. Now, the gambling, yes. Pete Rose. Now, if Pete Rose only bet on his own team, which I doubt, then he should have been in. But the fact, if he bet against himself, now he's affecting the outcome and the integrity of the game, he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. And so the cheaters, and I guess gambling's like cheating. If you're talking Belichick, he shouldn't be in if he cheated, which was that Watergate thing, deflating the balls, all that. If that was true and they actually cheated, I don't think the deflate thing's a big deal. But stealing it's like Michigan, right? They should never have been awarded the national championship if they cheated. That's saying, well, we can cheat and win, and that doesn't matter. Yeah, it does. Cheating matters. So I don't believe cheaters should be in because it's not the integrity of the game. And gamblers, it depends. If you're gambling against your own team, then A, you're an idiot, but B, yeah, you shouldn't be in the Hall either. It should really be skill. Like Pete Rose should have been in because he had 4,000 hits. The fact he gambled, did he gamble when he was playing? I think he gambled when he was managing. So I think his fielding play should have put him in. Gambling as a manager, you should have suspended him. Once you knew about it, he should be thrown out of the league and never come back. Sort of like Shoeless Joe Jackson in the 1919 Black Sox. They bet against themselves, so you hurt the integrity of the game. But why would they do that? I mean, that was stupid. Why bet against them? Why didn't you just bet on them? I never understand that. You're the better team. Bet on the White Sox to win because they're going to kill them, as opposed to betting against them to lose because it's going to look so stupid. It's not going to be real. So anyway, yeah, that's the free play is the under and take Seattle under. Two good defenses. Drake May been choking, and he's really not that good. He's not going to play the Jets in Miami in the Super Bowl, and Darnold, I think you're going to run a lot more, and I think that's the difference there. All right, so yeah, I mean Derek's right. There's no stop, but again, it's a fixed game. It's just like Madoff. Did you see Madoff? Oh, he's been 100% right on his stock picks, which obviously because he's not making any. But it's the same thing. You always have this. I mean, you're always going to have a fixed system, which is what we have here. So we just kind of ignore it all like, well, it'll shoot right back up. But we keep in mind that the price we have is there. So what they're trying to do is hurt the trust in the system. Well, I'm not going to buy gold and silver. It can go down. That's what this other part was really about. So part A was the banks. And it was, the mark to margin day and they can't show losses. So they're dumping. Part two was to keep you out of gold going, well, I don't want to be in gold. Look, it was 120 and now it went back to 80. I would have lost $40 an ounce in that one day, but not in the scope of things. Most of mine's bought at 25. I'm not going to run and sell it. I know it's going to 1,000, so I'm not going to worry about it because I also trust bricks and I trust the physical market, which is where we're headed to. Can the banks, the banks are going to empty your bank account. So are you going to feel comfortable having 100 grand in Wells Fargo and then the next day you don't have anything? It was zero balance. So you're going to trust that? I can trust gold and silver in the physical world. I can trust that this is real, that I have it, and I can use it. That I can trust. That's the whole point of the trust. This I can't, right? So you're going to go in your bank and you're going to see it's zero. How are you going to act then? And the difference is it ain't going back to 100. Silver's going to bounce right back. Gold's going to bounce right back. But this, you go into the bank account and you go, it's zero. Because let's keep in mind, these are the same banks that you got your money in that are going to sit there and go, hey, we can't go out of business, so we're gonna fuck the comex, right? We're gonna fuck that, and we're gonna drop it so we can get out of our options because we're a bunch of morons who are running the bank, and that's what you have. And so, with that said, when the bank's going to collapse because the dollar's worthless and nobody can pay back their mortgages and their car payments in the commercial real estate. Again, that's how a bank works. They lend out money that they've created from air and they want you to pay interest on it, which is their revenue. At least the banks actually earn money. It's fake, but at least they earn money. And then if they stop getting the 8 to 10%, which is what happened in 2008, just with houses, not with cars and not with commercial real estate. Now it's going to be all three. People won't be able to pay them back. What are the banks going to do? They're going to steal your money. You're going to look in your account, 100 grand goes to zero. So you got a pretty good flavor yesterday what's going to happen to you if you leave your money in the bank. Oh, the stock market. What do you think is going to happen there? Same thing. Stocks, well, they're in my name. No, they're not. They're in JP Morgan's name. And JP Morgan needs money because he's broke, will sit there and steal your stock. Well, yeah, you do have 100 shares of Amazon, but you're not getting it. We need it, and you're not going to get it. And that's legal. So your bank account's going to go down, and so all this is going to happen in real time. But the difference is gold and silver will bounce, especially if you own the physical. But in dollars in the bank, it won't bounce back. You got 100 grand in there and it goes to zero. You're not getting the 100 grand. There's no bounce back. They fucked you up. And so this is a great example, yes, of what's going to happen, and why you need to be in gold and silver. So they're trying to teach you to stay out of gold and silver by saying, well, look what happened in gold and silver. So keep your money in stocks, because that never happens. The stock market never crashes. Yeah, keep believing that one. So that's really the issue there, is what's going to happen. It's a warning. But to say that like gold and silver needs to correct or revalue is bullshit. Can it go straight up? Absolutely. Like I said, there's football games that go from 7 to 11. They go straight up. And the ironic part is the underdog wins. But keep that in mind. You have it's all these games that the banks play. It's all corrupt. The mafia runs the banks, which runs the government. So if the mafia's got their money in the bank and they're losing it because these idiots are doing it, they've probably taken them out, and they're in the river somewhere. But they don't like to lose. That's what you're dealing with. Now, I'm sure the mafia started buying gold and silver, especially the Russian and Chinese mafia have. So that's what we have. But don't be naive. What should happen in gold and silver should just keep going. And it's the banks that create this little down bullshit that is not real. Shouldn't happen. It does in the stock market, but we're not talking stock. We're not talking Apple and Amazon here, which get bid up too much and get overvalued, and then they take profit in it. You're not taking profit in gold and silver. Because if you do, I sell my silver, I get back into this. No, I don't want to. All right, let's play Attack on Wall Street. I think you'll like this one. I played it before. No. All right, so this is 12 minutes. Well worth it. This explains everything that happened yesterday.
Is saving this company, not the clients, this company. We shifted $4 billion in deposits. That's unacceptable. But we have a real situation here. Our clients are the jump ship. The problem is saving this company, not the clients. This company. We shifted $4 billion.
Okay, so did you hear that? He says, we have to save the company, not the clients. This is the Home Alone guy. This is what it's. Sorry for the volume. I just got it as high as I can, but that's the problem here, right? We have to save the company. This is Attack on Wall Street.
Until our clients figure out that we sold them worthless papers. That move only buys us a few more weeks at best. I talked to Merrill. They said they'd insure the paper for 2 weeks, but they want $200 million to do it. 2 weeks. 2 weeks is nothing. We need 2 months at least now. It's time to triage. Time to dump the certificates on the market. All of them. Dump. What about the pension fund investors? We're talking over $15 billion. That's not our problem. But if other houses follow suit, we can start a stand. Our priority is saving this house and fuck all the others. Our responsibility begins there.
That's Wall Street. Fuck everybody else, save our company. That's what you saw yesterday. Save our company, fuck all the clients. And that's what they did yesterday.
With our partners and our shareholders, and that's it. Investors gamble, they lose. That's the risk that they agree to take, is it not? They don't complain when they make money on the market. Why should they complain when they lose money on the market? Shit happens. Now dump it. Dump it all right fucking now. And after we dump the stocks, we're still far too exposed. We've got no parachute here. I'm going to take care of that.
Here's our guy, Wall Street guy. Here's your salesman.
Jim, what's going on? Sorry to tell you this, but your notes need to be listed on the exchange. What's that mean? It's an investigation going on right now. For what? Investigation into some investment portfolios. It looks like a significant portion of your fund was alerted in the paper that was, well, a little suspect. You don't know? No, I don't know enough right now.
I'm a broker, it's what you do, it's what you get paid for. But you put my money into anything suspicious.
Jim, I told you when we first met, I only invest in clean deals, but it seems that the firm itself is behind all this.
So basically, we just zeroed your 60,000 out. At least yesterday, we lost money on silver and gold, but it'll jump back up. This guy just lost 60,000 because they delisted the home loans. He was in a real estate trust, so they delisted it. He just lost 60,000. And he's saying, well, aren't you supposed to, you're my broker, you're supposed to protect. No, he's in it for the commissions. He doesn't give a fuck about you. He doesn't know what he's doing. He just says, oh, they told me to try to sell the real estate trust. That's what I'm trying to sell. This is why I say be careful of talking to a financial planner. You need to talk to somebody like me who's an Austrian economist to tell you what the fuck's going on, not put your money and you're going to lose 60,000 in real estate trust when the housing market's collapsing. Yeah, this is Attack on Wall Street. This is a great movie. It's on Tubi. Great movie. It really explains everything.
This thing is as close as possible. We'll just have to wait until the investigation is through with it. I mean, it seems that your investment was good, as it should be, but then everything lost its value. The question is, did the firm have knowledge that your original investment was bad?
You just said you only deal with great deals.
I do. I'm the player here, and not the whole game. Do I look happy to you? You're not the only one hurting because of this. Your investment, my investment, the investments of a lot of unfortunate
people. You told me, you promised me that they 8% of my investment guaranteed.
That is what my friend told me.
Now, if he actually had that in writing that it was guaranteed 10 to 12%, he owes them the 10 to 12% return. So I don't think he guaranteed it, but that was his sales pitch to get him to buy it. Put your 60 grand in here, you'll get 10 to 12 guaranteed because it's housing and everybody pays their mortgage. Except for when you let anybody buy the house, then that's not what happened. So that's the problem, right? So he basically lied to them, and then Attack on Wall Street guys like, but you guaranteed it. I had no risk. What you lied to, this is why he kills him, because he lied to him.
I searched it out. I did my research. My office manager told me to put my clients into this.
What else did you put money into?
Bills backed by commercial real estate. These look like great buildings. I checked the specs. I did the research.
Sorry for the volume.
Capacity. Okay, but now they're sitting.
Did you inspect these buildings? Did you inspect these properties?
The people that do all the research
told you.
Why would he inspect the buildings? What is he, crazy?
You'll get some information regarding the investigation, and I'm telling you, it's gonna take a while before this whole thing is. You're telling me I lost all my money? Not necessarily. There's gonna be some large lawsuits. I just want my money back. It's not how investment works, and you've got to pay to play. This is not a fucking game, baby. This is my fucking life savings, you fuck. I understand. And I feel your pain. I lost a lot of money too. But that's how investment works, man. Sorry. It gives and it takes away.
But that's if it's real investing, not this bullshit.
Hey, Robert. It's Jim. Jim Baxter. Jim Baxter. Hey, it's good to see you.
Yeah, I'm going to kill you.
I hope you recovered from that little financial disaster of ours. But quiet, but I'm getting there. It was a tough time, man. We all took a loss. I mean, when I told my wife we couldn't vacation in Barbados, she tore a strip off me the size of Long Island. But things get better, right?
Right? So everyone keeps telling me.
Trust me, it's true. Look, give you my new business card. Somewhere here.
Yeah, I want to trust you again. You cost me 60 grand. Let me trust you again.
Yeah, I gotta run. It was good to see you. Hey, so call me.
Now the fun begins. This is what we should do to the Fed or to the comex. That'll teach them to lose 60 grand for the guy. So he's with Home Alone guy who fucked him.
Whatever it is you want, this is not the way to get it.
Take a fucking seat. Right there. Sit the fuck down. Bet you never seen your desk on that angle.
I don't know who it is you think I am, but whatever it is you want, this isn't going to accomplish anything.
Gotta tell you to speak. You wanna know the difference between a banker and a gangster? A gangster always has a getaway plan. And by the way, I know exactly who you are. You're the guy that fucks everyday people in the ass and float around in your yacht and not sitting in the fucking house in the Hamptons. Looking tennis lessons from the dumbbells over the Central Park.
I didn't know all this.
They're watching you. The problem with guys like you is you can't stop bragging. So when the rest of the world is suffering, you're making sure that every magazine in the country knows all about your triumphs.
Well, there are people that derive inspiration from success stories. You know, maybe you do all the same things I've done, if you had the opportunity.
No, wouldn't sell bad loans. Small ones. Make yourself real cash-based and fabricated non-existent loans. You book the books to get your bonuses, is what you folks do. But the question is, why should I let you live? You're a salesman, right? Sell me.
So, you know, there's not a person on this earth that's worth over $100 million that came by that money. Honestly, why don't you take a look at the old money, the Vanderbilts, the Carnegies, the Gettys, the Morgans, the Hearsts, the Rockefellers. They think they got all the money. They just annexed territories, and licenses, and businesses, and killed the native population and imported slaves, and sold guns to both the North and the South during the Civil War, and controlled the politicians. And they're heroes. They're American heroes. We teach our children what honesty, hard work, and keeps to success. My children are going to go off to some more. They're going to go to Yale. They're going to go to Harvard. And it's going to be the dumb, stupid, white trash kids, the black ghetto kids. They're going to fight America's senseless performers. And they're going to protect American security and businesses. And it's going to be my business. My business is going to get richer and richer. And my bonuses are going to get bigger and bigger. And it's the same old story. It's the bankers and the owners and the advisors who get rich. And it's the little people who buy their stock that always lose in the end. To people like you.
Some people don't go. People like me.
It's a free trade system, my friend. It's capitalism. It's competition.
Yeah, well, I showed the bulk of it. I just wanted to show you how I do it for the commission. Can you still see me? They're just basically because I showed a video, they're saying. I didn't know I couldn't show videos. I do it all the time. Oh, I see. Okay. Well, I guess that's it. I can't show the video. All right. I'll talk to you. Maybe I'll come back on and redo it. All right. Take care. Have a nice day.